Shay, and welcome to the MetisALIVE YouTube channel. Before your tutorial gets started, I just wanted to say thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us and allowing us to share in your crafting journey. And hey, check out our MetisALIVE Etsy shop. We have so much going on over there. We have beginner beading kits, as well as kits for advanced beaders. This is a beading kit project for beginners, and over here we've got the beaded pouch for experienced beaders. We also have a kick and capote line, and we have do-it-yourself capote kits as well. We also have a sashy shawl line. Say that 5 times. Sashy shawl, sashy shawl, sashy shawl. Anyways, you gotta check out the sashy shawl line. They're just beautiful. And we also have do-it-yourself sashy shawl kits. We have Tansei greeting cards that are all hand stamped. And we also have other items on the Etsy shop, a variety of other items. And we call that our Touch of Sash line. So check it all out, MetisALIVE.etsy.com. And hey, check us out on Facebook too. We always have a lot of fun over there too. All right, have a lot of fun and take life one stitch at a time. Hi there, my name is Felice Gladue with MetisALIVE, and I'm here to talk about our beaded pouch kits. You can purchase these kits on our Etsy shop, MetisALIVE.etsy.com. So let's open up the kit. All right, so inside your kit, you have a variety of supplies. Of course, you've got your beads. This kit is for more experienced beaders. Of course, a beginner beader can use this kit. It's just a more involved project. Okay, but absolutely beginners can give this a try, especially if you have previous sewing or needlework, cross-stitch experience. It would be fine for you to start with a kit like this. So there are 8 different colors in your kit that coordinate with the pattern and the color scheme on your printed fabric. So we've got the beads, then you've got the fabric for your pouch. You've got 2 pieces of Melton, which is a wool fabric, and then you have 2 pieces of cotton or flannel with a print on it. Next, we have a clothespin, which we're going to be using to help us with the tassel. You've got your beading thread, a spool of beading thread here. And you have a piece of felt that we will be using, a safety pin to help you thread your drawstring, a sewing needle, which is the thicker needle with a large eye, and then 3 skinny beading needles. You have this, which is a beading mat. This is where you can pour your beads on and then load up your beads from here. And then you should have 3 bundles of yarn, a thicker bundle, and then 2 smaller bundles that are tied. This one will be for the twisted cord, and these 2 smaller ones are for your tassels. Also, you'll have 2 skeins of embroidery floss, which we are going to use to sew the bag, the pouch up. You have a design that I created. You're more than welcome to use this design on your pouch or come up with anything you want. You can go online and find any black line image, print it out, size it to whatever size you want for the pouch, and just use that as a template. You can bead anything. You can bead baby Yodas, you can bead strawberries, you can bead absolutely anything. And then also included from a beading tutorial book, which I have printed with permission, is a variety of different sizes and styles of flowers that you can use to design something. And then you've got just your introductory letter and the contents of your kit, the address for our YouTube channel that has a beginner beader tutorial on there, and just some written tips and notes about putting the pouch together. So let's start with the beading. You're going to want to bead your design first on the Melton and then put the pouch together. So your bead work should be on this side, and of course you will have backed your beadwork with the felt. Okay, so when you bead, you're actually beading through the felt and the Melton. The felt will just give your beadwork a little bit more stability so it doesn't buckle. So when planning your beading design, you want to remember that about a finger's width or a centimeter, that is going to be where you're going to sew the pouch together. Here's a pouch that I've made, and you can see what I'm talking about here. So you need about a finger's width allowance to do your sewing. The other thing to keep in mind is this top part is going to need to be flapped over. You're going to either flap it this way for a rough edge, or you're going to flap it underneath for a clean edge. Okay, so also keep that in mind. If you need at least, again, a finger's width of a flap. So, you might even want to just flap that over like that, clip the flap down with the clothespin, and then you're going to draw your design on here. So in your package, you got one of these, and you got one of these sheets here. So if you want to go with flower beadwork, just cut out one of these flowers, and I also cut the center out to make a template. It will look like this. And then you can use this template, and I like to use a thin Sharpie just to trace on the image. Another tip is just start with a big flower or whatever the central part of your design is going to be. Start with that, drawing that on, and then when you're finished beading that section, then draw on the other sections. Because I find that, you've got this idea in your mind, and then you start beading, and if you've already drawn all the pieces on, all the different aspects of the design on, you're committed to that. And sometimes your ideas will change as you're beading. It kind of takes on a life of its own. So just start with your central figure, whatever that is. If it's a strawberry, a flower, if it's going to be a caterpillar, whatever it is, start by just tracing that on first, beading it, and then continuing on with the design. It's also a really good idea to draw your design out on a piece of paper first, okay, so that you have a visual of what you're going to do. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to put the beaded pouch together. So how to sew the actual pouch. Your beading should already be done. I'm pretending here. This is my beaded side. If you need a tutorial on how to bead, check that out on our YouTube channel, the Beginner Beading Tutorial. All right, so the first step we're going to do is to make the flaps here at the top of the printed fabric for your drawstring. Okay, so you want to fold that down to about 1 inch. Now, I like to use a clothespin instead of a straight pin. These are straight pins here. Can you see that? That straight pin there. I like to use clothespins. There's one included in your kit. I just find the clothespins are just quick and easy. And so I'm just gonna attach it over here on that side, and I'm gonna start sewing on this side. Okay, so I've gone ahead and measured 1 arm's length of embroidery floss. I've chosen the lighter brown because remember, it's going to be visible on this side. And so I just thought the lighter brown popped more than the darker brown. You're going to start on the inside here, and you're going to start about 3/4 of a centimeter up. Okay, you want enough room to get your twisted cord through there. And you don't want to be too close to the edge because then your stitches will just pull out. So we're going to go about 3/4 of an, did I say inch? I meant centimeter. 3/4 of a centimeter up. Okay, there we go, and pull. Now, when you're doing your stitching, you can do a variety of different running stitches. A running stitch like this, or you might want to do a running stitch that way, and when you come back you can add another stitch to make it across, or you can do a running stitch with a gap in between, and then when you come back you can add the X. Okay, you can also do a simple running stitch pattern, short, long, short, long, short, long. It's really up to you. Now, when you're stitching, you want to make sure that you're not pulling too tight. See how I've pulled that tight and now my fabric is buckling? You want to make sure it's sitting with just the right tension. You don't want that buckling in the fabric like that. So you might need to just smooth out your fabric after each stitch until you get the feel of the tension there. When using a regular running stitch, this is how I like to do it. So I'll put my needle in, and then I just kind of eyeball it with the length of the needle, and I just keep gathering the fabric on my needle and go like this. Then I'll just pull it through. There we go. Straighten it out, and then continue over here. Now, just to reinforce this stitching, just to give it a little bit more stability here, more strength, I'm going to go back through my stitches, making a cross. Okay, down there and pull. So I'm just now going over this running stitch to make it into a cross. So just up on the top there and then down. Okay, and I'm going to go all the way to the Now, you want to make sure that they're going to be the same length. So, put this piece on there, okay, so that you know where to fold. Okay, so you know where to fold. Now, I pick up these two pieces together, flip them over, and then fold this back so it matches up with the other piece. Get that handy dandy clothespin again, stick it on there. Okay, now you're ready to again do the matching stitch. Okay, and voila, there we go. And by the way, isn't this fabric just amazing? Like, I have so much fun picking out the patterns and cutting all of these beading kits because the fabric is just so delicious. And I love this because it's actually an embroidered pattern, and I love to do embroidery. All right, so we've got those two pieces done now. Let's just put those to the side and bring back our Melton. All right, so the Melton, you've got the beaded side and you've got your felt. Now what you want to do is, if you have a lot of excess felt, you know, where you have no stitches, so maybe your stitching is all in this area and you've got like some corners that you could trim back, this is a good time to do that. Just trim back those corners. Now, what you want to decide is whether your pouch, you want to have the raw edge showing, or whether you want it to be a clean edge and just have it folded back. These are two pouches that I've made. There's my embroidering and there's my beadwork. So I wanted to show you the two styles here. So this pouch actually has the raw edge showing there. Okay, so it kind of gets a little bit frayed and fuzzy and just kind of gives it that older handmade look. Or this has the clean edge. So I folded it back and then just did a nice decorative stitch on there. Your embroidery floss is going to show. So again, you want to decide what color you want on the outside. Now this time I like actually the darker, it's a piece of leather there. I like the darker floss. So I'm going to use the darker floss. And I'm going to stitch it so that the rough edge is actually showing. The depth of your flap really depends on your beadwork. So if your beadwork is down here, then of course you can have a deeper pouch, or sorry, a deeper flap. But if your beadwork comes all the way up here, then you're going to have a skinnier flap. My bead work is in this area here, so I can make my flap probably about an inch, a little bit wider than my finger. All right. So actually I'm going to put that on the side here. And now I can start to sew, just like you did the other flap. Okay, now that you've got the flap measured out, you're gonna pull back your printed fabric there. And we're gonna place the Melton onto the printed fabric, lining it up at the bottom there. It's all right if some of the edges are peeking out because that's going to be on the inside anyways. So now what you're going to do is you're going to actually be stitching through 3 layers of fabric. So 2 layers of the Melton, right, the top of the flap and the underneath of the flap, as well as this printed fabric. I've decided to use the dark brown as I think it'll really pop on there. Take this clothespin off and I'm going to start from actually the underneath of the Melton. This way you're not going to have a knot in your actual bag. So I'm going to go in the middle, I think. So what I'm going to do, I want my stitch in the middle. I'm going to tuck that tail in there. Okay, so it's underneath. And then gather up the printed fabric. And now I'm going to start my running stitch. Okay, now those are together. And now you can just start stitching. Okay, I can remove this clothespin now. And I'm getting close to the edge. I'm going to do one more long stitch. Okay. Now you don't have to really worry about this edge here. You can see it's kind of open there. Don't worry about that because eventually you're going to stitch around and that'll close that edge off really nicely. So now if you want to do something else on the stitch, this is a good time to go back and do something else. So I think I am going to put just a cross on the larger stitch just to kind of match the top part. Okay, now another tip when attaching the Melton to the printed fabric is you want to have as little stitches as possible and knots inside, because when you're putting your hand inside the pouch, you don't want threads to be sticking up and catching onto your fingers or whatever items you have in your pouch. That's the whole reason of putting this liner on, so that's covering all of that stitch work in the back. So I want to go back and do crosses now. And so instead of going through all 3 layers of fabric and again having more stitching in the back, I'm just going to go through the 2 layers of Melton here. So I finished my last stitch on the underside. And so now I'm just going to come back up where I want my first cross to be and pull. And then I'm going to go back in, but I'm only going to go through the 2 pieces of Melton. I'm not going to go through that backing there. Okay. Pull that. That way the extra stitches are going to be behind here and not inside your pouch. Okay, so again, I'm just going to turn it, it'll be easier for me. I'm going to go through just the 2 layers of Melton. And then down. And again, just through those 2 layers of Melton. So I'm just coming up in between there. On my last one, and I'm not going to do another one there. So I'm just going to tie my knot now in here, get it real close to the center there. Okay, then I'm just going to pick up a little bit of fabric there, not going through, you don't want to be able to see it. I just want to kind of get that tail tucked in there. So I do that and then just do a little bit of a snip so that your tail is kind of tucked inside there and not loose. All right, now we're going to do the other side, and you want to make sure they line up again. So line up the printed fabric. Okay, line that up there. And then we're going to line up the Melton. Okay, so you're going to flap over. So this way your Melton will match up on both sides. So we can take that clothespin again, stick it on there. Okay, get the other clothespin on here, and then get your thread ready. So now we're going to do the sewing. Now you're not going to see the stitches, so it doesn't really matter what color you choose for this part. You're going to put the good sides together. So this is the good side. This is the side with your beading is a good side. You're going to flip that over and sandwich it. And now to line it up, you must line it up with your top here, okay? If you line it up in the bottom, okay, the bottom may line up, but then this part with the drawstring won't line up, okay? So to avoid that, line up the drawstring, the top part, okay? Now, this is where you're going to be putting your twisted cord in. So do not sew that part up. You want to start stitching underneath, okay? And stitch around, and then we're going to stitch back again. So just to show you with my pen, my Sharpie, we're going to just do a running stitch about a finger's width away, like this. Okay, we're going to go all the way around, a running stitch like that. Okay, and then when we come back, we're going to fill in. So we'll fill in with another running stitch, filling in all those stitches. Okay, all the way around, filling in the gaps. All right, so remember we want this top part to be lined up. So it's a good idea to put that clothespin there. And then we are going to be stitching through both pieces of printed fabric. And then when we get to here, it's going to be the Melton and the fabric. Okay, so again, I'm going to just start a little bit on the flap here, just to reinforce that flap, but not above our stitching, okay, our previous stitching, because we don't want to close up that hole, right? So just where your stitching started there, we're going to start with our needle in. Okay, I'm going to just turn it here, and then we're just going to do a simple running stitch. You don't want big stitches because then you're going to have big gaps, holes in your pouch. Okay, so you want it to be about taking that off there now. You want it to be about 1 finger width in your stitches, or 1 finger width in, and then you want the length of your stitch to be just a little bit shorter than a finger width. Okay. Again, you don't want to cinch your fabric. You want to make sure that it's laying flat. So you want to check that after each one of your stitches. Make sure it's laying nice and flat. Okay. If you do want a guide, you know, you're not going to see this, so you can draw on, you know, a guide of where you're going to have your stitches. And then needle in and then poke it back up. That's where that guiding line that you drew on there is really helpful. So you're going down and then poke back up. Okay, you're going to go all the way around to here. Now when you're stitching, you want to make sure that you're stitching all the way through all 4 layers, and each layer is about a finger width deep. You can see that this one here was not. Okay, so I'm going to actually take that out, because if it's too close to the edge of your fabric, it's just going to be pulled out really easily, and you don't want that. As I'm going in here, I'm going to make sure, might even have to put my needle at a bit of an angle there to make sure I'm getting enough depth. Okay, so I'm actually going off of my line a little bit there, and that's okay. So knowing that, I'm just gonna redraw this line here. Okay, now my new guiding line is gonna start matching up with my first guiding line, so I can get back onto that track. I'll go in and then out, and then see how I put the needle onto the table and push down. Okay, that's one way, or you can actually use a pair of pliers. So I'll show you what I mean about the pliers. Go in and out, and the pliers are like a staple in your beading kit, especially when working with leather. It's so helpful. So in and then out, and then you can use your pliers to pull if you don't want to get little holes in your table as you're pushing your needle down. All right, now I'm getting really close to the end of my thread, so I'm going to tie that off here. All right, just do about 2 or 3 knots there. Now that we're getting close to this other end, if you don't have the clothespin already on there from when we first started stitching, it's a good time to put that on now, making sure that your 2 pieces of Melton are matching up there, and put that on. Now we are again just going to go back up here. So I started a new thread and just continue to stitch all the way up to there. Now I still have quite a bit of thread, so I'm just going to keep on going the other way, filling in. Okay, so I'm going to fill in those spaces here. Now you should be back where you started. So we're going to tie a couple knots there. Da, 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 da. Carefully turn it right side out. Let's see here. And really kind of push out those corners. There we go. Woohoo! And voila, there's your pouch. Hey, that looks awesome. Now these edges here will just be left raw. We're not going to do anything with those edges. You don't really see them much because the drawstring just kind of pulls it all together. So yeah, there's your pouch. All right, so this is a tutorial on how to make a twisted cord and tassels. Now, if you've purchased one of our beading kits on our Etsy shop, MetisALIVE.etsy.com, your yarn will come bundled like this. So you're just gonna open that bundle up and you should have two pieces of two different colors of yarn just looped together, and it should be tied in a knot on the top. If it's not, just tie all of them together on the top like this. Now, what you're gonna need is some duct tape, or if you have somebody else in the house, they can just hold on to this knot for you. But if you don't have anybody, get a piece of duct tape and just duct tape it to the table or to a chair. And what I find to be very helpful is I'll put my hand through the loop here, or my fingers just through the loop here, and then I'll get a pen that has a cap with one of these little doohickeys on it. And I just slip the yarn through that so that it's attached. This will help greatly with the twisting process. All right, now you want to stand back and pull it so it's tight there. And then you're just simply going to start twisting. Okay, that's all it is. You're just going to twist and twist and twist. You want to twist quite a bit. Okay, if you have a loose twist, your cord is going to be really loose. And we want a nice tight twist so that the cord is tight and doesn't come apart on you. So you just twist, twist, twist. And when you think you've twisted enough, twist some more. And you might even actually want to do the twist. Okay, let's get some movement in there, or you could get your steps in for the day. Hey, maybe you still need those 1,000 steps after sitting and beading all day long. You get those steps in, okay? So twisting, twisting, getting our steps, hey, in for the day. You could even do a jig, hey? Yeah, there you go. Put on some fiddle music, do a jig, get your cardio in for the day. Yeah, all right. So as I'm twisting, it's starting to kind of bunch up here. I don't know if you can kind of see that. There we go. It's starting to kind of twist more than I want. And that's when you know you're done, okay? When you start kind of seeing these knobby twists in the cord. Now this is the fun part. All right, so you want to fold this cord in half. So you're going to put your finger in the middle, and then you're going to bring the cap over to the duct taped part and then pull it off together. Okay, so I'm still holding this end with my finger and I'm holding both of these together. Now I'm going to let go of this bottom part here, but I'm going to hold tight to the top part, okay? And watch the magic. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, bing! I love that part. Now you're just going to pull, okay? Hold this top part really tight and you're going to pull down really hard, okay? You're going to get all those chunky parts out of the twisted cord here so that it is a nice uniform cord. The next part is take off this tape. You're going to stick your finger. You have to open up the twist just a little bit. There, stick your finger in there and pull the pen off. With your finger in this loop now, you're going to take 2 of these tail pieces here. Okay, doesn't matter what color, and just stick it through the loop. Okay, so you've got 2 through the loop, and then just pull again. We're going to just tie that into a knot, and that'll secure your cord from unraveling. Okay, just do a double knot there. There we go. Don't worry about the chunkiness on the top because that's going to be covered by your tassel. All right, now we're going to draw the string through the beaded pouch. So put on the safety pin at the very end there. We're going to use the safety pin for the threading. Right, open up the edge there. Stick that through. Get it in there. And then you're just going to cinch the fabric over the safety pin. Okay, all the way to the other side. Pull the safety pin, which will then pull the cord through as well. Okay, same thing on the other side. Find the opening, cinch the fabric on your safety pin. You can even stop halfway through and pull, and then keep cinching till it comes all the way out. Okay, this is very important to get your cord through your pouch first before you put on the tassels. If you put the tassels on the cord, then you're not going to get it through this skinny little opening. Also in your kit, you should have 2 smaller bundles that are tied together. Those are going to be for your tassels. So let's open one up. And there should be 2 different colors in there. And what you want to do is you want to fold them about 3 inches in length. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. We've got 9 and a little bit extra. That's fine. We're just gonna snip that off. Okay, so you're gonna take this bundle, hold it tightly, then you're gonna open up a loop here at the end of the cord where the knot is, and just stick your bundle of yarn through there, and make sure you have even amount of yarn on this side and this side, and we're going to totally cover that messy knot. So just fold it over, okay, and then voila, that messy knot is covered. So you fold it over and just kind of pull it to smooth it all out like that. And then get your clothespin and just put it at the very top. So that'll keep it all nice and snug together. Now we're going to take that piece of yarn that was holding the bundle together, and you're just going to tie it right underneath the clothespin and give it a really good pull. Okay, we want it nice and tight on there. Okay, then just flip this over and tie a knot on this side. I just do this process a few times, flipping back and forth, so that I don't have a big knot on one side of the tassel. Okay, then to finish off I'm gonna just tie 2 or 3 knots all on one side. And then remove the clothespin. Again, just pull everything down to smooth it down there. Okay, there we go. And now you're just going to trim it. All right, I usually just gather it up, hold it tight like that, and then just snip. Okay, and voila! There's a great little tassel. All right, so you're going to do the same thing with the other side, the same process, opening that up and putting the bundle through there. There we go. You've got your tassels, you've got your cord. Let's just take that off. And you've got your beaded pouch, all complete. So you just open it up like this, put your precious items inside, and then just close it up like that. So congratulations on completing your beaded pouch. Like a strawberry keychain and orange shirt pin, as well as, oh, it's in my hair, hold on, a flower hair tie that can also be used as a bracelet. Your choice. Take care, everyone. Bye.